Well, good Friday afternoon to you. It's Dan. I want to welcome y'all to my home in the sticks. Lord have mercy. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Friday. I'm looking forward to the weekend. But you know what? Today's video, we're going to talk about something that's really important. It's a crucial element that belongs in everybody's garden. So, give me a second and I'm going to show you two ways that I'm going to use magnesium sulfate in the garden. All right, you and y'all. First thing I'm gonna say is magnesium sulfate, or Epsom salt, is something that a lot of folks use in their gardens. It's a valuable nutrient that is really overlooked in a lot of gardens. And the reason why I say that is I've overlooked it. It's gonna be the first way that I'm gonna use magnesium sulfate in the garden or in my raised beds. I have two pepper plants, two jalapeno plants, and I have one Jubilee tomato. Let me show you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dig out a little hole for this jalapeno, and here's our magnesium sulfate, or Epsom salt, and I'm going to take just a little bit of it, maybe that much of it, and I'm just going to put it down in that hole. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover it up with a little bit of soil. I'm going to take our jalapeno. It's got some good roots on it. They're coming out. Just going to set it down in that hole. I'm going to cover her up. Now, what I want to tell you is, when you transplant anything into your raised bed or your garden, the roots go into distress when you transplant them. They're in a new home. They used to being in a little small cup like this. They're getting love. They're getting water. But when you transplant them into your raised bed or your garden, them roots, they're going to be distressed. The magnesium sulfate, it's going to help them out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these, this other jalapeno and this tomato plant in the ground. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with this first jalapeno. I'm going to add a little bit of magnesium sulfate into the soil, and we're going to rock and roll from there. So give me a second. All right. That is the first way that I'm going to use the magnesium sulfate in my raised beds. When I planted these guys out, I added maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon of magnesium sulfate into the hole that I planted them in, just to give them a little jump start. So that's the first way. All right, y'all, the second way that I'm going to use the magnesium sulfate in the garden is, the raised bed garden, is what I have is just a gallon jug. Got it marked off at a gallon, and what I have in here is just a little bit of warm water. I'm going to add exactly 1 tablespoon of magnesium sulfate to this water jug. Gonna get it down in there and give it a little shake just to dilute that Epsom salt. And I'm gonna fill this jug up to the 1 gallon point, and we're going to use the magnesium sulfate, or Epsom salt, as a fertilizer, or just to water in things that look like they need some help. I have exactly 1 gallon of water, and I have 1 tablespoon of magnesium sulfate, or Epsom salt, in this jug right here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it off into this big waterer, because that's what I like to water my plants with. Let me show you something. Here are my pole beans. You notice that these leaves are green. They have some yellow into them. But look at these over here. Those are nice and pretty green. There's a big difference. That means that this soil is lacking something. We're going to try to use the Epsom salts on these beans and see what happens. Today is Friday, May 18th, 2018. I'm going to give these beans a drink of this Epsom salt, and that's going to be the second way, if I haven't already said it, how we're going to use the magnesium sulfate in the garden. We're going to use it as a fertilizer or something to feed these plants with. Now, we're not just going to drench them down. We're just going to give them a little watering. Done. And what I'm going to do is, everything that I have growing in a raised bed that I think needs a little bit of help, I'll probably hit all my pepper plants up and my tomato plants up with a solution of 1 tablespoon to 1 gallon of water with the magnesium sulfate, and we're gonna see what happens. I reached out to a few friends. Ryan from A Little Dirt Never Hurt, talked to him about the peas. I was like, hey, you know, well, he watched the video and I made mention of the peas not being green enough for me. And he reached out to me and said, you know what, Dan, you need to get them guys a drink of some dang Epsom salt, some magnesium sulfate, see if it'll work for you. So we finna see, and I think it's gonna work. Brothers and sisters, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, they help. If you haven't subscribed to the Home and Six channel, y'all need to come on over here and give me a look, because I'm always doing stuff, really. And with that being said, you know it's coming, Dan sure enough gonna say it. Don't let nobody dull your shine. I mean nobody. Especially when you're trying to get your soil right with some magnesium sulfate. And we will see you and y'all in the next video.